Russian Z-War correspondents Maxim Kalashnikov and Svyatoslav Golikov have begun to openly talk about how the Kremlin is deliberately driving its soldiers into senseless meat assaults. According to them, the goal is not only to seize Ukrainian territory, but also to reduce the number of soldiers who could pose a threat to the Russian government itself in the future. Dialog media outlet reports this. Golikov noted that the manner in which the Russian army is conducting military operations makes many people think about the hidden purpose of what is happening. This manner of military actions makes me think that a disposal function is being carried out, a real disposal of these future destructive elements. They were officially designated at the highest level as the new elite of the country, and in the end, let's put more of them into the plantings so that fewer of them come back, said the Z-patriot. According to Golikov, a huge number of Russian military personnel return with serious mental trauma, which makes them potentially dangerous to society and the Putin regime, considering the conditions in which people are fighting. There are so many lost souls and leaking roofs that we can predict what could spill out onto the streets, because shell-shocked people with a broken psyche, we understand what it is. There are no brakes who are used to pulling the trigger, he emphasized. Golikov recalled that after the war in Afghanistan, many veterans turned to crime, and now the situation could be much worse. How many people went into crime after Afghanistan? And here it's an order of magnitude more. And then these people will explain to us that they improved the social situation. We are recycling the army, concluded the Z-blogger. Another Russian war correspondent, Maxim Kalashnikov, spoke even more harshly. He warned that if the situation does not change, the coming consequences will be worse than those of the 1990s. He revealed horrific details about the activities of the Russian PMC Wagner, which also participated in the aggression against Ukraine. People saw for themselves how one famous PMC brought 4 KamAZ trucks and threw them into battle head-on, and they finished off the wounded. Why? It's profitable. For each killed, the Russian PMC receives 12 million rubles in compensation. Well, 5 million goes to the family of the killed, and the rest? In Bakhmut, 20,000 Wagners perished. Calculate for yourself what kind of profit was made. Our business is death. Indeed it is. People are treated like waste material. They are the lower classes. They can be spared, Kalashnikov said. It is significant that despite such a policy of the Kremlin, both Kalashnikov and Golikov continue to actively support aggression against Ukraine and, as a result, the mass destruction of the Russian population.
Russian President Vladimir Putin held talks with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan on the sidelines of a regional summit in China on Monday. According to Associated Press, Putin praised Turkey for its considerable contribution to the effort of ending the conflict in Ukraine. Turkey hosted direct Russia-Ukraine peace talks both early on in the conflict in 2022 and this year. Erdogan reiterated his invitation to Putin on visiting Turkey and said that two countries' relations were progressing without being affected by conjectural events.
Признательны турецким друзьям за весомый вклад в политико-дипломатические усилия по урегулированию украинского кризиса. На Стамбульской площадке с мая этого года прошло уже 3 раунда прямых российско-украинских переговоров, которые позволили продвинуться в решении ряда практических вопросов в гуманитарной сфере. Уверен, что особая роль Турции в этих делах будет востребована и далее.
Zat halinizi Türkiye'de misafir etme arzumuzu biliyorsunuz. Davetim bakidir. en yakın zamanda sizi ülkemize bekliyoruz. Aramızda güvene dayalı samimi bir ilişkimiz var. İlişkilerimiz konjonktürel sınamalardan etkilenmeden ilerliyor.
Проекта сооружения первой турецкой АЭС Акую.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin met on the sidelines of a regional summit in China on Monday in a show of deepening ties when New Delhi's relations with Washington are strained over the purchase of Russian oil. According to Associated Press, the two leaders held talks after attending the key session of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization gathering in the port city of Tianjin, where discussions focused on regional stability and bilateral cooperation. In his remarks opening the talks, Putin addressed Modi as a dear friend and hailed Moscow's ties with New Delhi. Russia and India have maintained special relations for decades. Friendly, trusting. This is the foundation for the development of our relations in the future, Putin said. These relations are absolutely nonpartisan in nature, supported by the overwhelming majority of the peoples of our countries, he added. Modi used the meeting to welcome the peace initiatives aimed at halting the conflict between Russia and Ukraine and called on the stakeholders to move forward constructively. At the talks, Putin was accompanied by a large delegation that included top government officials. Russian state media reported that before sitting down for the formal dialogue, Putin and Modi spoke one-on-one for almost an hour in Oris, a high-end, Russian-made limousine that Putin regularly brings on foreign trips. The meeting carried added significance as it came days after U.S. President Donald Trump imposed an additional 25% tariffs on Indian imports, raising the total duties to a steep 50%, in retaliation to India's continued purchases of discounted Russian oil. Washington has repeatedly warned New Delhi against buying Russian crude, which it said was partly keeping Moscow's revenues afloat to fund the fighting in Ukraine. India has defended its imports as essential for meeting its growing energy needs of 1.4 billion people. Modi traveled to Russia twice last year. The first was a visit to Moscow for talks with Putin in July. He then traveled to Kazan in October for the summit of the BRICS bloc of developing economies. Russia has had strong ties with India since the Cold War, and New Delhi's importance as a key trading partner has grown since the conflict between Moscow and Ukraine.